Dear viewer, I feel I owe you a confession. Up until a few weeks ago, when we did the first experience drive for this video, I hadn't driven a car with an engine yet this year. If you saw Ethan's coverage of the Shanghai show, you'll realize that this is how much the story with new cars today in China is about EVs. Well, the car you see behind me is an EV, but it also has an engine. We listen to your requests, so be sure to hit that subscribe button like you'd hit a made-in-China Tesla Model 3's brake pedal. Today, by popular demand, we bring you the Li One. Like Xpeng and Nio, Li is one of the current A-team of Chinese startups with a US stock listing, and that's pretty much where the similarities stop. Also known as Li Shang, or Leading Ideal, the company only currently has one model, and it is the best individual selling model from any of the startups. Back in April, the Li One showed sales measured by newly insured units of 5,522. That's two more in China than the Model Y, and made it the most popular electric SUV in China, and the fourth most popular SUV overall, priced over RMB 300,000, around US dollars 46,600, after some German competitors. What really sets the Li One apart is that it's a PHEV, or what Li call an extended range electric vehicle, EREV. Along with two electric motors, the car has a 1.2 turbo petrol gasoline engine. The design of the Li One is almost as if you asked a year one automotive design student to draw an SUV for you. Yet while it's like a stereotype, somehow it manages at the same time to be very striking. There's no arguing that it has presence, particularly when it comes to this imposing front. This is created in part by the subtle styling lines on the front wings and haunches. Where things get very interesting is on the inside. Just look at all these screens. There are 4 of them. There is no doubt this car has been designed with young, tech-savvy consumers in mind. I'm not even sure you can call this a dashboard anymore. It's just side-to-side screens. Each, though, has a very clear purpose and function. First, you have the digital instrument screen. This has the usual information, such as speed, navigation prompts, along with what is becoming increasingly common, a visualization of the road and the other road users around it. Where things start getting a bit different is with the center screen. Unlike in many cars, where this controls pretty much everything, the middle screen here is largely dedicated to information and entertainment. One interesting function is that there is not only a 360-degree camera, but it can also do a front-forward view. If, for example, I'm not sure I can fit in a gap. The top 3 screens near seamlessly blend into each other. The third screen in front of the passenger is pretty much dedicated to entertainment. A function allows the middle and third screens to throw things from one screen to another. This means, for example, the passenger can deal with navigation and throw it to the center screen. Perhaps, though, this is a little redundant, as most things can also be done by voice command. There is a slight separation of the fourth screen from the others, thanks to a pair of air vents and the hazard warning button. One common criticism with modern car design, where everything is done through a touchscreen, is that it can actually be quite difficult to do certain things, as you have to go through menus. This is particularly a complaint when it comes to climate control. The Li One has a whole screen dedicated to this, and much can be controlled via simple swipes back and forth or up and down. You may have noticed I've yet to mention the trim level. Li actually has just one unified trim level, priced at RMB 328,000 for this version. The only cost option is RMB 10,000, about $1,550 for the baby blue pearl paint. Otherwise, you have some simple choices. One of 5 paint jobs, which with the exception of white are all dark. One of 3 20-inch wheel designs, whether the car is a 6 or 7-seater. And finally, whether you want white, brown or black leather upholstery. There are 2 quite interesting modes for the front seat. One is nap mode and the other is sleep mode. We're going to try the nap mode first. So it started using the using the 4th screen here, and there's a little button here, which we then press. And let's see if it's going to do so. Oh, and it asks me if I want to start. And it's even got a counter here for the time that I want to nap. So I'm going to say that I want it to start. Now the seat is moving, going down, down, down. Now this allows me to nap, and I think there's going to be an alarm going off in, I think it was 29 minutes or something, to wake me up. Well, we're not going to watch me sleeping here for 29 minutes, so let's end it at that. Now let's try the sleep mode, which is actually different. Now I'm going to return the seat to its normal position. Now first off, to do the sleep mode, I actually have to remove the headrest. So we've removed the headrest. Now we're going to try and lay the seat down pretty much flat. Oops. So now, as you can see, I have a kind of bed. Not sure I want to spend the whole night here, but it's comfortable enough for a pretty good snooze. As always on Wheels Boy, we have to beg, borrow or steal our test cars. This one we borrowed from someone who works in the same office as the Wheels Boy office. So forgive the personalised nature of this car. Now in the second row here, the seats in the second row are very similar to the front row. The major difference being that the front seats get ventilation as well as heating. The back seats do not get ventilation. However, the back seats do gain this little armrest. Both front row and rear row are fully electrically adjustable. In the third row here, it is quite light thanks to these windows on the side. There is a reasonable amount of headroom. However, legroom, to say the least, is tight, and I've got the seat in front of me in the second row, I think as far forward as it will go. Second and third row passengers can control functions of the car via voice control, and this can also be locked if the driver doesn't wish them to be able to do so. As we mentioned, we borrowed this car, and the owner has stored quite a lot of things in the back. So as you can see, actually, despite it being a 6-seater, it does have a fair amount of storage space, enough to fit maybe 2 medium-sized cases without the seats being folded down. These seats do, though, fold down, so you can increase space by doing that. The front wheels get a 100 kilowatt, 134 horsepower motor, whereas the back get a more powerful 140 kilowatt, 188 horsepower motor. So all up we have 240 kilowatts, 322 horsepower, and 530 Newton meters of torque. I mentioned Li referred to the One as an extended range EV rather than a PHEV. Well, if you look at the specs, you can perhaps understand why. This car has a battery of 40.5 kilowatt hours. That's about half of, say, the equivalent Nio ES8. Typically, PHEVs have much smaller battery packs, usually in the low teens of kilowatt hours. As a result, Li claimed the One can do 180 kilometers on the NEDC cycle without charging. That's certainly enough for usual daily needs. But there is also a 3-cylinder 1.2 turbo engine with 96 kilowatts, 129 horsepower. Li claim on 1 tank of fuel that will increase the range to 800 kilometers. The car is a series hybrid, and so the engine never directly drives the wheels. Instead, it acts as an electricity generator, directly powering the electric motors and charging the battery. Earlier, we turned on the engine of the car, so there is an option for it to operate purely as an EV, but you can also get the engine to go on. When we turned the engine on, there was a noticeable increase in noise and vibration. According to some internet sources, it suggests that NVH with the engine can be quite harsh. We didn't really notice that, but having said that, we've only used it for a limited period of time and in relatively easy conditions. This is a large car, just over 5 meters long and nearly 2 meters wide, and you certainly feel that size when you're driving it, unlike in, say, the Hi-Fi X. The steering is much tighter than on many Chinese cars, although it could be tighter. Unlike a lot of dual-motor EVs, it does not have blistering acceleration. The Century 0 to 62 miles per hour takes 6.5 seconds. That, though, is certainly fast enough for most. What's not very noticeable is the braking regeneration, and it seems not possible to do one-pedal driving.
While the car can cope with rougher terrain, Li have taken it through rough terrain to the foot of Mount Everest, our drive has been restricted to city roads. The front uses a McPherson strut, and at the rear, multi-link, with the suspension being set up for a smooth, cosseted ride. Li have just announced the 2021 Year 1. The price is up by RMB 10,000, $1,550, and so is maximum range, due to efficiency gains. However, the biggest news is the integration of 2 Horizon autonomous driving chips, giving the model a serious upgrade when it comes to self-driving ability.
One thing I was curious about with the Li One is how it managed to outsell Nio and Xpeng models. I think there are some obvious factors. The unitary pricing structure makes the purchase decision very easy. The high-tech interior is appealing. This is coupled with an app which allows you, for example, to control the climate control before you get to the car. But the most important factors are perhaps price and peace of mind. There's no doubt you get a lot of car for your money. Plus, with the engine as backup, you don't have to worry about charging on longer journeys. A few months back, I was on a long-range drive in a fleet of Xpeng P7s, and we stopped in a highway service center. There must have been at least 300 parking spaces, but there were only 4 chargers. We caused a huge problem for other EV drivers wanting to charge. But are those sufficient reasons to explain why it does so well? I'm not so sure. Let us know what you think in the comments. And be sure to subscribe for more Chinese car content soon.